Welcome to the Neuroheads podcast. My name's Ben. Joining me today is DJ Mink, Michael, and announcing Lee UHF is joining the Neuroheads team as our label manager and will be hosting the podcast moving forward.
How you doing, guys? All good?
How's it going, mate? All right?
Yeah,
That's
I'm great,
right.
thank you.
I'll take over the reins from here. You sounded like you were struggling with that intro there, Ben.
I haven't got as much practice as you, mate.
That's all right. No, great to be on the team, guys. Brilliant way of obviously announcing it, doing a podcast together today to chat about all things Neuroheads and what's going on now, past, present, and future. So, yeah, as you said, I'm going to be starting the Neuroheads podcast today. We're starting with you guys as a guest, and we're going to have another artist from the label as well. We've got a big announcement coming, obviously, around future releases, but also, again, we've got the Heads Up album, which is currently making waves. It's out there in the shops now to buy or stream. So we'll start with the early days, guys. First of all, give yourselves a little introduction. We'll start with you, Ben.
Well, my name is Ben Killey. I am the, label owner of Neuroheads and the founder. We've been doing Neuroheads for just over a year and a half now. Mikey joined us full time about a month ago now, mate.
Yes, I did. I'll take over. I'm Mike. I run the socials and everything in between for Neuroheads, organising the guest mixes and just trying to build a community within the scene, which I think we're doing quite well at the moment. So
And it's quite a big team as well, isn't it, guys? You've got a lot of people behind it. Obviously, I'm joining a huge family here. It's not just going to be the three of us. How many guys are involved in the Neuroheads team, Ben?
I don't know. How many fingers have I got left? There's a lot of people. I mean, in the core team, I don't want to miss anyone. There's like 6. How many's in the fam group?
Let's go through the HQ. It'd be me, yourself, JJ, Scott, Snook, Albie, Joe, Harry. That's the HQ. So that's the HQ, and then we have a sort of extended family, which is Southly, and I won't go through the names because there's a lot. And then beyond that, there's just everybody else. It's just sort of stems out.
Lee needs to be in the HQ
chat. I am the HQ chat now. Yeah,
you are
level. I'm on to the next boss.
HQ chat. So there's like 7 or 8 people that actually like work really closely, but then there's got to be like 30 or 40 people involved with brands that help in a way, which is why this brand does so well. It's all about the community around it.
Well, we did a little interview, didn't we, Ben, regarding the album on my other podcast on the VTO one, and we spoke about obviously how the key ingredient to all of this is the family, and it is a big family, and I guess that's why it obviously works for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like one man could not achieve all of this on their own. You can't do all the work yourself, and no one's going to have the skills to do all this stuff. Fair play to any label owners that do it all on their own, because they are absolutely mental.
And you've got the event on top of that, though, as well. Do you have a lot of involvement in the event as well, Mike?
What, in the runnings of the event, or the logistics, or everything in between?
Well, I guess that answers the question. You do have some kind of involvement in the event, if it's one or the other.
Well, leading up to it, I think we all have an input of who goes on the lineup. Essentially, Ben will have the final decision on everything. And then on the night, we all try our best to help when we can. Sometimes I might drink a little bit too much and be no help at all. But I think it's collectively a joint effort on the night. But got to give it to Ben. He's a sort of backbone when it comes to running the event and setting up these gigs.
So you obviously came up with a name, being the founder then, Ben, for Neuroheads. What is the ethos of that name, and what does it mean? Well, how did it come about,
Well, there was a group of us who all went out to Neuro Nights, and we called ourselves the Heads. So people would be like, when are the Heads getting together? Do the Heads want to go to this night? And it was always with a Z as well for some reason.
Sounds cool, looks cool.
The Z kids, right?
West Side.
West Side. And then we were going to do this show with Prolix, and I didn't know what to call it. And we thought of a bunch of names, and I don't know, I just kept thinking Neuroheads. I was like, oh, is it too close to Metalheads? And then just couldn't find a name. And I had to announce this Prolix event. So I just said to the designer, just call it Neuroheads. I don't care anymore. Like, let's just go for that. And it's stuck. It's actually been really good because most of the names are terrible.
It's catchy, it works. There's a little bit of cheesiness involved to it. But I guess in like kind of that scene, there is obviously a deciding kind of lane that you've chosen to go in with the neurofunk sound. And one thing I always explain about neurofunk when people ask me is it is literally the 2023 version of punk music, isn't it? It's got such a loyal following that literally just run down that one lane. There's nothing in or out. It's just, this is it. This is what we do. And it's kind of anti-establishment in a way as well. So I guess it does have a perfect ethos around that music, doesn't it?
I think it's I mean, it's neuro in particular, I think, because obviously you get a lot of subgenres in drum and bass, but you don't, I haven't seen such a loyal following to an actual subgenre within the music as neurofunk brings. And you've seen it firsthand with Neuroheads itself.
Well, this is why I was comparing it to punk music. That is what like punk music was like. I'm not from the 70s, but I kind of grew up around that with my dad. He was in the punk. I'm not that old, you know. Come on. But I grew up with it with my dad, and my dad obviously had that kind of ethos of that sound. And I used to watch a lot of things about it, you know, the Johnny Rotten documentaries and things like that. And it does have that similarity. Like I say, the following is die hard to it, isn't it? Absolutely die hard. So, and yeah, it's a great scene to be in. As I said, that sound of drum and bass, you go to a rave, you see somebody in a neurofunk t-shirt, like a Neuroheads t-shirt, you're going to be like straight onto those guys. They're your new best friend for the rest of the night, aren't they, generally?
Top lads. If you're into neuro, you're a top person.
Exactly. Let's get a bit personal then, guys. Mike, we'll start with you.
Hello.
What were your first beginnings around music? Give us like your younger days, what got you into it, and how it became something a bit more than just something you listened to.
Yeah, if we take it back to probably school days, I was heavy into my dubstep. So I think quite a lot of people were within drum and bass. I was a bit of a dubstep head. Obviously listened to your Pendulum, Subfocus early days. So I always had a soft spot for drum and bass. When I was turning 18, 19, I'd listen to quite a lot of Jump Up. I'd go to Jump Up raves. I think my first rave was a Bangers and Mash event at Lakota.
Oh my God.
It was.
Mash. I remember that name.
I remember the next day as well. I was speaking to my mate and I was like, I'm not sure if I like it or not. Raves, you go to your first rave, it can be quite overwhelming. But I was back raving weeks later, and then and a few years later I was introduced to neurofunk, and that was it really. Fell in love, and I've been in love with it ever since. So
many brain cells later.
Many brain cells lost later, yeah.
My beginnings with music was in the 90s when I was a teenager at school, and I fucking hated rave music. I was into gangster rap, and I was on holiday in Skegness, and one of my best friends there, he decided to invite the girls I was trying to hook up with to a rave at Fantasy Island. And because they were going, if I wanted to hook up with these girls, that's where I had to go. So I ended up at the rave, ended up seeing Vibes and Groove Rider, and it just fucking blew me away. So as soon as I came home, I was at school, all my mates, we were going weekly raves to a night called Uprising in Sheffield, where I'm from. So sounds like a similar thing. We all started off around school. Was that same for you as well, Ben?
Yeah. I remember driving around in my Citroen Saxo with a big subwoofer in the back, listening to Benga and Koki, and I can't remember what the mixtape was called. I had a drum bass mixtape. Mate, one of my favorite tunes of that was Cold Turkey by Drum Sound and Bassline Smith. Yeah, what a banger. And obviously Tantrum Desire remixed that maybe a couple of years ago now. So yeah, very similar. I mean, to be honest, slightly different in neuro. I've never said this to anyone really, but JJ and I got into neuro because we used to go out. Mum, I'm so sorry. We used to drive off in my car and do Mandy in the back of the car, just play Face, Misanthrope, Ed Rush tunes, and just sit in the back seat buzzing our nut off, listening to the subwoofer in the sound system. That's absolutely shameful, but there you go.
Delightful.
It's good job my mum isn't going to see this.
Well, you never know. She might be subscribing, so we'll see.
Definitely not.
What about you, Mike? When did you what was your first neurofunk experience, and how did you hear
I
it?
can't really remember, to be fair. I can't remember like a particular moment.
It's all a blur for the
I
session.
think, Let It Roll. I went to Let It Roll 2017, and I just remember every single set just blowing my socks clean off. And yeah, from then it's just been a love affair with it.
Brilliant.
So you weren't just so messy; you were just naked.
I did actually end up in the medical tent. Funny story. I was actually sorry, Mum. I was actually the first person to be in the medical tent of Let It Roll 2017.
Well, did you get a badge or a sticker for that or something?
I got a €50 bill. Yeah, but we won't go into too much detail.
Mate, I'm sure you're going to be the first person in the medical tent at Let It Roll 2023.
Oh God, yeah.
Brilliant.
So for me, it was a case of I was doing hardcore music and gabba music, that kind of rave music, all through my early days, and I got a bit disorientated with the sound, and it got a bit boring. And a friend of mine in 2005 called Leanne took me to Renegade Hardware at the End nightclub in London. So I don't know if you guys know about the End. It's an iconic London venue. I believe it's shut down now. Still to this day, probably the best sound system in a small club I've ever heard. And that lineup consisted of Spore, Dylan, Panacea, Noisia, and Face, all on the same lineup. So my experience of drum and bass before that night was Dillinger, maybe a bit of John B that I'd heard little bits, and I kind of thought it was all right. It just listened to it every so often, but I literally walked out of that club and never listened to any other genre of music ever again. Yeah. So Neurofunk got me into drum and bass. Neurofunk did that for me, and obviously that's where my journey has led me to you guys. And I believe our first meeting was at the festival last year, wasn't it? The Neuroheads Festival. We'll come to that in a minute. But first of all, I just want to know how you guys actually met as well. So, Mike, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we actually spoke about this the other day. Ben doesn't actually remember the first time we met. We met at I think it was a red light house event for pre-drinks. It was a Lakota event. Must be about 10 years ago now. And yeah, we went from there, and then we bumped into each other now and again. I remember we bumped into each other at Andy C. XOYO residency, and we were in the smoking area. And we were just pissed having chats. And I claimed to be a bit of an MC back then. And I remember saying to him, I was like, yeah, I'm an MC. And he was like, oh, I do events. I'll get you on an event. And I just thought this was just sort of like standard pissed up smoking area chat.
No, that's the blag to get the MC to get away from you. I know that. I know that scam myself, because I used to get them shouting in my ear as well.
So I got a text on the Monday after going, I've got an event this weekend. Do you want to MC? And I was like, fuck, he remembered the chat. So I obviously tried to get away from it. And then for the next couple of weeks, it's like, yo, bro, I've got another event this weekend. Do you want to MC? And I was like, I'm busy, mate. And he still tries to make me MC now, sometimes for our events. So.
I'll not lie. I started off the same way. There's a video on YouTube in 2001 of me MCing at a hardcore event.
Brilliant.
I'm not going to send you the link, so don't tell me. I'll send you on a mission to find it. If you can find it, I'll post it online. So there you go. Right. Mike, you also said that obviously your role is a lot behind like the social media and obviously getting exposure to the brand.
Yeah.
Before Neuroheads, were you doing any of this kind of work? How did that come about? And have you worked in music before Neuroheads?
If I'm honest, mate, no. I've actually been heavily in the hospitality industry in my working career. I ran a few social pages here and there for certain restaurants and businesses I was working with, but no, not really. I just really like listening to drum and bass, really like music. And when obviously Neuroheads came about, Ben was like, look, I want to sort of turn this into a brand. Who wants to help? And I was like, yeah, just give me whatever you want to give me and sort of roles to give me. And it went from there really, and we had such a good start. The momentum just took us into the next month and the next month, and it hasn't stopped. And here I am today. So it's I haven't had too much experience doing it, but I love doing it. I think that's what has made me successful in the role I'm in at the moment. It's just because it's a passion as well, and I'm lucky to call it my job.
Brilliant.
I have to add to that. Like when I said who's going to help me with this, so we did the first event with Prolix, and then it wasn't until January, so that was, can't remember, September, October, maybe. Then January time, we were going to turn this into a proper thing. And I was like, who's going to help with the socials? And I thought Mr. Harry Agg was going to put his hand up. But I've done a couple things with Harry, and they've not worked so far. And then Mike put his hand up, and I thought, Jesus Christ, he's worse than Harry, this guy. Every time we go out, he is just destroyed. Like, I only ever see Mike when he's been like out for 2 nights in a row. He's got on a train, come down from wherever he was getting on it. He's absolutely planted. And he's taken his t-shirt off every time I play Collision in Jake Days. So this is what I know of Mike. And then he said, "What do your socials?" And I honestly thought this was going nowhere. Like it's, and I've worked with a lot of social media people, and I always get it that they work on it for like a month or two, and they put a lot of effort in, and then it just fades off, especially when you don't pay them. Like, it's understandable. People move on to other things. But Mike took on Neuroheads, and oh my God, he's been amazing. The best social media manager I've worked with. So it just felt only right to try and make it our goal to bring him on full time. And finally, we've managed to do that. And it's phenomenal. I actually thought it'd make my life easier, but somehow we've just taken on more stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's always the way. It's always the way.
Easier. But yeah, Mike's been fantastic. I really thought he was the lowest person, probably lower than Harry Agg.
All right, mate. All right. Yeah, that's okay.
I thought we're going to smash this.
But about some of your history as well, Ben. Obviously, before you came to Neuroheads, you did have some experience. Obviously, you were working with the Jungle Cakes guys, and you were heavily involved in that. Is that the first part of your experience in the music industry? If not, what was it? If it was, just tell us a little bit about it.
I think I didn't start it. There was a friend had a brand called Redland Tea Party. I think they'd done like one show with Kino from Hospitality. Somehow it's a really long story of me meeting a bloke in a rave in London, him introducing me to this guy Loz who did Redland Tea Party. That's how I met George Burrell, ex-Salt, who now lives with me. And we ran a night together in London. We did a couple nights with Redland Tea Party in London and Bristol. They were all right. It was a bit of a promotion, running events experience. But weirdly, I then quit my job and got, headhunted by Lakota to go in as a management consultant and just come in with a different view, not a promoter view, but a look at the business. And then I ended up just essentially running the club with a guy called Ben Cattell. And so I got a massive crash course in how to be a promoter and into the promotion industry and the music industry by working at Lakota. And then through Lakota, went to work for Jungle Cakes, and over COVID, they needed help with their record label. So that's how I got into the label side of things. But certainly do not know anywhere near as much as I should about running a label. Hence why Lee UHF is coming to
me. Yeah, I mean, obviously from that as well, a very similar background to you, Ben. For me, I was running events as a teenager, doing happy hardcore events, like I said, from my hardcore background in 2001. We grew that event, which was called Bedlam, to Total Bedlam. What a great name change. to in another city. And it was basically a way of growing that brand up. And we got awards in Mix Mag and things as the best monthly night and things like that as well. And again, natural progression. You get into drum and bass, you discover the music. We started an event called Raw, which we still regularly do in Birmingham as well, on and off around 2008. The label thing has always been there for me. Again, with that Bedlam brand, I did Bedlam Records and a few other labels. And the Dirtbox name came from a live show that I was doing with a beatboxer and a drummer and myself touring, playing drum and bass and neurofunk. And that came into Dirtbox Recordings, which then landslided into another 3 labels and put me into this position today where I'm obviously working with you guys to take this Neuroheads label to the next step up and beyond. And obviously, hopefully, we get those awards next year, which is obviously a big goal of you guys, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. For sure. Win best newcomer label. That is the goal.
Well, we're already on that ladder, aren't we? So, the extra intuition we're putting into this and the hard work, I've got no doubt that's going to come about. Absolutely.
Me too.
So we'll run into the label and then we'll come back and talk to the event and a few things. So what made you want to start a Neuroheads label after doing the event?
I want to come up with a good answer here, but it's because Mike Simpson put us down as a record label on Facebook.
And I didn't mean to. I didn't know I'd done this. Ben was like, "What the fuck? Why did you put us as a record label?" And we sort of joked about it. I was like, "Well, we might as well give it a go." And that's literally how it came about. So, yeah,
it's been wicked. It's been such a great learning experience, and I love now A&Ring it. I love getting music.
Best job, isn't it? The best job.
Honestly, it's great. And then living with George Exalt, who's a fantastic producer. He's got a studio in his room, and we can listen to the tunes and we can look at all this. I don't know what you call it because I don't produce music, but he's got all this data and all this feedback from the sounds, and he can say that snare's too much, that's not enough. It's great. I mean, it's so eye-opening to see the music that way.
And one thing, obviously, looking at the Neuroheads label, from the beginning, obviously, on the art side, I've got my labels, and looking at what you were definitely introducing even myself to some new artists that I'd never heard of, who actually were producing quality music, obviously with the likes of Avril, who's obviously a fantastic producer, and the Stonks Boys as well, who we are going to be interviewing. I discovered them through the Neuroheads label, and tell us a bit more about some of these artists and how you discovered them. Go on, Ben.
Hats off to, I'm going to say JJ. JJ, he loves mixing. He's got his decks in his kitchen. I'm sure his missus absolutely hates him for it, but he just mixes constantly. And that's why he's such a good DJ. And he will drop bangers. And I'm like, where's that come from? Who made that? And he goes, oh, it's this guy from deepest, darkest Russia. You know, like, how on earth do you know this bloke and get his music? But I don't know where he gets it from, SoundCloud or some kind of drum and bass sharing platform. But JJ knows all these guys. So the first thing I said was, JJ, hit up these guys that make these bangers that you play, that really obscure producers, because I want to hear what they've got. And that's how we came across everyone, basically. Harry's got to come in there at some points. And
I think Harry definitely played a part. I think we sort of all got given the task to go out and just ask whoever who we've got on our playlist, and also just keeping our doors open for submissions to anyone at any time. You know, if someone says, are you accepting submissions? Absolutely. What have you got? Send us everything you've got. We still do that to this day, so I think that also helps.
Yeah, the one thing with Lakota I learned is that if you just block off, just say I only work with these DJs, you never get that new talent, that fresh talent. So I always, whenever someone said, I want to play for you, I want to do a set, I would say, send me a mix. And I genuinely try and listen to it. Most of the time I would listen to it to try and give them a set. And some of those people have gone on to actually become proper DJs in drum and bass, making it their full-time job. So it's the same with Neuroheads. I don't care who you are, like how small your name might be. You know, Avril, for one. I mean, you can barely find him on social media. But his tunes are absolutely wicked. All day I will sign the person for the tune they've made, not the kind of brands they have, basically.
Absolutely. We want to get the label in a position where people are actually coming to you to release music. That's my goal as label manager for you guys, because once you hit that threshold, things start to change. I found that obviously with Dirtbox and VTO as well. You get submissions in, the A&R becomes a lot better because people have already heard of you and they're already obviously wanting to give you music.
I think we're starting to notice that already. I think from when we started to now, the tunes we're getting are astronomically better than some of the stuff we were getting from the beginning. Yeah,
it's very noticeable, isn't it? When that new step up kind of changes, you know exactly what's like. People, you're going to the name, to the people, they already know you are, and that obviously holds a lot of weight. So for any label owners out there, just you've got to make sure you're pushing that social media presence and your brand and things like that, because it's a key ingredient obviously to getting your label noticed and getting music on it as well, which has obviously led to the Heads Up album. This is why we're doing the podcast today. Over 20 amazing nanny slapping motherfucking neurofunk bangers on this album. I'll be listening to it constantly all through March, and I was lucky enough to get a sub copy of this and obviously play some of the tracks. And yeah, you guys did a live stream for this last night. There's a ton of music on there. I don't want to miss anything out, but we'll start with you, Mike. Name some of your favorite tracks on the album and why.
I think, yeah, we've been discussing this the past 48 hours. For me, A Veil Death Toll is my favorite. It's just got that, we were literally saying last night, it's got that old school Gydra sound, the old school rolling neurofunk that we all love collectively. And it's literally what we wanted to put out. That's the sort of image we want to put out as a brand. What else? Stonk's Wicked World for me is also a brilliant tune. And A Veil Criminal as well. I know it was a past release, but again, I love his style, and Criminal itself is so popular. We've had lots of really good feedback from big artists saying it's their favorite tune. So those would be my three, I think.
What about you, Ben? Has any of the tracks just started to warm to you a little bit more, and something that you see you're going to play a lot more often and for the years to come?
Oh, it's so hard because I listen to every track at least 10 times over a couple of days. I tried 10 times over 5 days before I picked to sign it. So like, I actually love every track on there. It's really difficult. I'm just looking at them now. Like, I love them all for unique reasons. You've got more techie stuff like As We Fall and Afterglow, but then you've got like Drizzt from Impex.
You're a big fan of, I think it's Trice Injected, isn't it?
Oh, I love that tune. Funky roller.
It's hard to pick one. It really is on the label, on the album. Sorry, it's very hard to pick one.
I love the lead on Payload. I think that's a phenomenal tune. It's so difficult to say.
The fifth, isn't it? Payload's the fifth.
Yeah, Payload by the fifth.
Yep.
And then you got XYLYM with Children of Ecstasy.
Based in Out of Control is also really good.
Yeah, the fifth is definitely one to watch this year. Some of the tracks he's got coming out, absolutely blowing my mind. You know, starting with that one, he did a track called Jump Funk on our Veto album earlier this year, and he's followed that up with the Payload track. Yeah, this guy is going to explode by the end of 2023 in terms of getting popular. I think for me on the album, I can't pick a favorite, but what I have found is there is one track on the album I am playing more than any others when I'm messing around having a mix or when I'm playing a set, and it's definitely Wicked World by Stonks. It's just going in every set, and it's not something I'm planning on doing. I've got all the album tracks there. It's just this one seems to get chosen, and I guess that's a sound choice, but also it just seems to go with everything I want and the flavor of my sets and things. So yeah, that has definitely kind of stood out to me in a way of not being the best track on there. They're all great, but definitely something that seems to get a lot of airplay.
It absolutely fucking tumps, Lee, basically.
It's unique. That vocal is very unique.
I know, I've been trying to find where they got it. I'm going to be asking them later. I know it's off one of these mumble rap fucking Travis Scott. It definitely is. You can tell it's something like 6ix9ine or something, but I've been looking and I can't find it. So I am going to ask them about this, and I'm going to reveal it because I need to find out where it is. Absolutely.
They're really unique producers, Stonks. They really focus on the heavy metal side of things, which I think's wicked. Like, I know they're working with Teddy Killers, or Teddy Killers has some sort of feedback on their tunes. So
they were on one of Teddy Killers podcasts where they review people's music. Yeah.
Go boom. And yeah, I think that's a perfect person for those guys to be chatting to and trying to develop a unique sound. That's what you want, right? An artist needs to develop their own sound, what makes them different to everyone else. And I think Stonks are really doing that. And props to them for running their own label and doing all their
very hard work.
They do their own podcast, so it's a hell of a lot of work. Fair play.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a not an interview session, but I'm going to be having a chat with the Stonks guys because they're going to be helping me with some things around the label stuff as well, because they've got a few things that I've seen that they do that I'm like, how the fuck are they getting that sorted? They seem to know their way around Spotify ads and things like that. So we're going to be doing a bit of a sharing info, but yeah, check out the Stonks guys. Their music is fucking top banana. Absolutely amazing. So one last question on the label, and then we're going to have a quick chat about the event. What's next after the Heads Up LP? I don't want to get far ahead because I want people to concentrate on this album because it is amazing. It's got a lot of longevity to it, but we want to know what's the future. Content spins around very fast. Can we have a few exclusives of what's coming after this, Ben?
Well, we've got Traced and Kaizen Flow coming with a tune called Shatter Machine. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's probably the best intro I've heard in a long time on a neurofunk tune. Again, the lead on it is fantastic. That's what I look for in tunes. I really like a nice catchy lead that really like gives a tune identity. Obviously, you need the basics there, but I personally just can't help it. I love neurofunk tunes with a nice catchy lead. We've got a guy called Fractal One that Mike's been working with. He's got a two track release coming with us soon.
Can I interrupt and just say one of those tunes is my favorite we're going to release so far. Absolutely love it.
Mike, you've got your own release coming, haven't you?
Well, yeah, that leads on perfectly to the next one, which is I'm featuring on a track from our good friend Neil Transformer called Only Cans. There's a bit of a deeper story as to why it's called Only Cans.
Please explain.
Well, we were basically at JJ's at about 6 a.m. and I was walking around with a Stella box on my head, telling people to subscribe to my Only Cans account. No idea why, but someone
of course.
Someone took a video and he sampled it, and it's absolutely brilliant, and it's a really good tune as well. So it's one of my favorites as well.
Brilliant. So yeah, there's a lot of music for me to get my teeth stuck into this year with you guys. Oh, yeah. I cannot see anything but a huge success, especially with these forthcoming tracks as well. And yeah, good work on the LP, guys. I've come in right at the pinnacle of it releasing, so we'll get it up the charts this week, can't we?
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Excellent. Let's move on to the event then. I'm going to start with you, Mike, and talking about something else that's to do with the social media. Tell us about this fucking wheelie bin with the speakers in, blasting neurofunk out. I keep seeing on TikTok. What's going on?
So, it was around the time of the festival, and I think we were in talks of trying to get some sort of second stage, but we didn't have a second sound system. And it was just a joke in the group chat. We were like, Albie, put some speakers into a bin, and we'll just play off the bin. And he was like, leave it with me. We didn't hear anything else. A few weeks later, he's sending updates in the chat, like he's putting subs in the bin and he's actually making it. And then he brought it out and we saw it for the first time the day before the festival when we were setting up. And yeah, we set up and it was sick. And yeah, Albie took a video of me on the bin. I stuck it on TikTok and it got 500,000 views on TikTok and then got reposted onto some pages on Instagram, and it went nationwide. Worldwide.
It's probably like
8 million views now. So we're viral.
Viral, yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I saw it at the festival. I think I've seen Albie actually playing on it just after I finished my set on the main stage. So yeah, is that going to be making another appearance, do you think?
Absolutely.
That's going in the campsite, mate.
That's great,
yeah. I think we're looking to
open deck in the campsite. Let's do it.
Open deck. I think that'd be carnage. But
get everybody on it. Yeah, that'd be great.
I think we're also looking to do some more pop. We did a pop-up bin event just in Bristol. I'm not entirely sure where it was now, but just invited some friends down. We want to sort of take it to other locations and get some free parties on the go with it because it's loud enough.
When it's not pissing down with rain. But until it stops raining, we can't really do it. Especially we've got a Jenny and a amp rack next to it. We're working on making it slightly more portable.
Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, obviously, another thing we've been speaking about, Ben, is kind of taking the podcast on the road. I know we're starting here from our spare rooms and kitchens and living rooms and what have you. But you know, if we get this on the road, that could be a welcome addition to the road show, couldn't it?
100%. I want to get this podcast in the camper, which would be cool. Watch out, Steve-O's Wild Ride. We're coming for you.
Oh, he's got nothing on us, and we got Crazy Mike with us anyway. So, you know, if we need somebody to glue their nutsack to the side of the camper van,
we'll do that for views.
He's a slut for going viral, aren't you, Mike? He loves it.
He absolutely loves it.
Another thing that obviously I've seen recently at your guys' event, again, this is something that perked my ears because it's something I did a few years ago as well. And you guys seem to have took it to the next level, the high octane drummer and a full DJ set. Tell us about how that came about, Ben, because it was on your set at the recent Neuroheads event, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I don't know. So, someone must have posted something in one of the chats or whatever of this guy drumming like in his bedroom or in a studio, called High Octane on Facebook. And the second I saw it, I was like, oh my God, we need to do this. So I messaged him straight away. He messaged me back straight away. And I said, look, I want to do this at a show. Can you do it? And he was like, yeah, I'm keen. I've already done some drum and bass, but I've not done neuro. So I need you to send me some music and I can try it out. So
I think he went viral, didn't he, with some like pendulum covers and that he did.
Maybe that does sound like the kind of thing. And yeah, we went back and forth and then eventually planned a set with JJ having to do the set about 6 times while I was in Thailand. And me just telling him, change this, change that. So props to JJ because JJ created most of that Neuroheads live set. And then, yeah, the drummer came up. We didn't even put this on the lineup on the poster because I didn't know if we were going to be able to do it. We put it on the festival because I knew we had the time. So he came up the night before. We had a practice and we're all in Joe's warehouse just thinking, this is the bollocks, mate. Like, this is unreal. So we're definitely doing it. Let's go. And it just smashed it. Like me and Aaron, the drummer, we've got really good chemistry together. We get on really well. He's a top bloke. He really fits in with like the ethos and I don't know, like the kind of ethics of the Neuroheads group. Like he fits in perfectly with that. So yeah, I think that was one of the key things as well. If he turned up and he was an asshole, it probably wouldn't be a thing. But he's totally not, and he really fits in with us. And then he looks the nuts, doesn't he? Like with his long hair, like all rocker, big
shit of the drum kit.
You ain't going to be a good drummer with a side part in, are you? Let's be honest.
So yeah, it looks great, and he absolutely nailed it, mate. Honestly, like you had to EQ that because the EQs weren't right the day before. The drums didn't sound right, so props to Albie for doing that. And there's so much that went into that live show. Obviously, the VJ Albie created a lot of the visuals, but then we've got Josh, who's actually the VJ, who comes down and did the custom visuals for the set that we spent about 3 hours on a video call like this running through. Unbelievable amount of effort from everyone to Neuroheads live. So yeah, big up.
Mike, when's the next Neuroheads party?
Well, we've got one planned for May, I believe. We haven't got a...
Well.
It's a grey area at the moment.
I plan it all, so it's a bit of a mess right now, but I'm hoping to do one start of June at a place called The Island, which is some old prison cells in Bristol. A bit different to the usual low club style night, but we're still going to somehow get that video wall in there. We'll have a D&B audio sound system, which is humping, which will save Albie from working a full 24-hour day getting that system in and out of loco. And it'll still be it'll be really unique. I mean, we can put Mike in a cell and lock him in because then we won't have to deal with him on the night.
Throw away the keys.
Put him in there, lock it up. I'm sweet. I know my night's not going to go to shit now because Mike Simpson is on the loose.
Stick him in an orange overalls and you're all set. You've got some viral videos then as well. Stick your heads on the orange overalls on the back.
What a shout. I'm going to buy some orange overalls, and whoever messes up or gets best stuff in Neuroheads is getting put in the overalls and put in the cell.
That's a press shoot if I ever saw one. All the Neuroheads gang in orange overalls in a prison cell, looking like they're going loopy in the nut house or something like that.
We've actually got an agent now for Neuroheads and Neuroheads Live because we've had a lot of bookings come in and I am just too busy to deal with them. So we've got an agent called Ava who works at Hotcakes, who also represents Franabic and she loves neuro, so she's trying to build a neuro side to the Hotcakes team there, which is wicked. So she actually wants press shots from us. And we were looking at them. Like, I don't like that one, and that's not going to work. So 100% we need to get that press shot. You've nailed that. But yeah, the island's a really cool place. Then I can't say what we're doing yet, but we have a very big show in the pipeline for September. The biggest show we've done, new venue, next level production, video walls, sound systems. Oh, if we can pull this out of the bag, because it's still in the planning stages, it will be phenomenal.
Awesome.
So, and we've obviously got the festival. So yeah, quite a few events in the pipeline. And
November.
And we've just booked AMC for November. So,
excellent.
In Reading.
And of course, we're bringing Neuroheads to Birmingham. Let's not forget that. There's a secret show that I'm involved in, and Ben is obviously going to be jumping on board for that. No details yet, but we're probably looking around October time for that. So Neuroheads is coming to Birmingham. You've heard it here first, the exclusive. And that'll be the whole crew DJing, go mad. Mike, maybe bring your bin.
Maybe bring
maybe. So let's talk about the festival then. Probably the biggest Neuroheads thing that's happening at the moment that people know about this year. July the 8th. What can you tell us about this event, guys? We'll start with you, Mike. What's the lineup?
Oh, how long have you got? I think, I mean, obviously, if we start off with just last year and how well it went, we didn't really have a massive lineup. It was all quite last minute. Ben found the location. We sort of cleared it, got a lineup together, and it was the best day of the year for me personally. It was such a good party. Everything went perfectly. This year, we're just taking it up another level. We've got plans to expand slightly. Obviously, our capacity is expanded. Our lineup, we've got State of Mind, for fuck's sake. So it's a bit more of a level up.
For fuck's sake, State of Mind. What if you haven't bought a ticket? What are you doing?
Yeah, this is going to be mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental.
Lineup of just so many talented DJs and label takeovers. Obviously, yourself, you're playing, and loads of others. And yeah, we're looking to have obviously a second stage. The bin will be making an appearance, which we obviously just said maybe in the campsite. We're looking to move the campsite out to make more room for everyone, and it's going to be more of a festival feel to it this year. As last year was a bit more of like a free party vibe.
Yeah. Last year was a tester to see if we could make it work without anybody dying. And
we all survived.
Success.
I did not want to. I just wanted to give it a go, see how it worked, see how the owners of the land were, and it's just down to things like, can people find the place? Is there going to be any traffic problems? Are the council going to have any issues? Are we going to have noise problems? Which, if we turn the music off when we said we were going to turn the music off.
Yeah.
So this year, it's coming with a proper festival feel in terms of the professionalism to it. I guess you could say. Hence why I invested money in people like State of Mind and Pythias. I wouldn't invite them unless we were going to do a top-notch job.
Yeah,
having a proper team behind it. It's still going to be small, 500 tickets, but we're going to have 2 stages this year and the campsite in a different location. And my main thing is I want to run a class event. I want everyone leaving there saying that was amazing, and I want everyone to obviously be able to have water and all the toilets and all the things people need to have a comfortable time there. You need to think of all the weather plans as well. Is there going to be too much sun? Could it rain? Yeah, could it be a monsoon like it has been at other festivals? And I want to keep everyone safe, So those are my main concerns, and my main bits of planning are focused around that. So we had a good go last year. We made a few mistakes and we've learned from them, and hopefully this year will run really smoothly.
Well, if it's anything by the events to go by, and again, your first try at it last year, this will be a huge success, guys. Tickets are on sale now, I believe. Where can they find them, Ben?
Fat Soma is the main place. We have just listed on Skiddle, but Fat Soma is the one. Or no, it's Fat Soma. They're not direct from our website yet.
If you don't find it there, though, obviously log on to any socials at Neuroheads with a Z. This is where you're going to find tickets. There's going to be a lot of things obviously going off at the festival. Like you said, the lineup, we've got State of Mind, we've got Pythias, we've got Trace, Sovereign, all of the Neuroheads crew and beyond. We're hoping to obviously do some kind of podcast show live at the event in the camper van. We'll have lots of great activities there. This is probably, I can't even think of another, but I think this is the only, as far back as I can remember, 100% neurofunk festival in the UK for a while, definitely. So you're not going to get this anywhere else. Let It Roll Rampage, we're coming for you. We're on your heels, telling you this is obviously what's going to blow up for us this year. Guys, this has been brilliant. I think we've got to know everything we need to know about Neuroheads. If you've never heard of us before, get to fucking know. You know, 3 of us now. There's a lot more coming. A lot more with this podcast as well. This is obviously the first episode. We're going to be interviewing artists. We're going to be interviewing people involved in the festival, promoters, everything. If you've got any ideas that you want to have included in the podcast or people you think we should have on, just drop us a message on the socials. Mike will pick it up and he'll send that through the channels. But yeah, I think we've covered everything. Let's do a couple of shout outs and obviously pitch out the Heads Up album. Mike, do you want to start with the shout outs?
Right, let me try and name everybody I know. Yeah, well, obviously JJ, Harry, Scott, Snook, Joe, Albie, if I didn't say Albie twice. Just the HQ and the fam. I can't name all the fam, so I don't want to miss anyone out, but you know exactly who you are.
Don't forget Dale for
Dale.
lifting.
Dale. You called him Dale in your fucking Facebook post.
It auto-corrected to Dale, I know.
Okay. Yeah, Sophie, Katie, Anna, all the girls that come to support as well. And just just everyone involved. You're sick.
Brilliant. Ben, where can people find the Heads Up album?
Out now. Beatport to buy, Spotify to stream. It will be out on all stores in 2 weeks' time, April 14th.
And I want to add to that as well. Even if you don't buy the album, stick it in your playlist, stream it. This is where we want the label. We want to build it as much as we can. We want everybody to hear it. Streaming is fucking free, so you've got no excuses. Don't be a freeloader. Don't illegally download it, because we will stick you in the fucking wheelie bin and turn the volume up.
You like that? That's probably
that's yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
This is gonna, don't tell Albie, because next week you'll end up with a load of missing people reports across the area, won't you? So they'll be tied up in the dustbin waiting. Listen, guys, thank you again. It's been brilliant. The first podcast, great success. There's going to be many more. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Up against the wall, it's time to get criminal.